Nithyananda. Hi, this is my Nithyananda. And good morning to you. And by the grace of Swamiji, I am here today to speak to you about something a little different. Guru Gita is one of the oldest sacred scriptures in Hinduism. I wanted to talk about it because it fits along with the lines of a sannyasi. See, and maybe it'll help illustrate a little bit why the importance of a guru itself. See, in the scripture, it says how he, the Sadguru, is responsible for the rise of the knowledge of the self. That is our self, our consciousness, our divine being that's inside, who cuts asunder for the disciple the 8 kinds of attachment by the sword of mercy. Karuna Kadga. Hopefully, the pronunciation is halfway good. So those 8 kinds of attachment are doubt, pity, fear, shyness, censure, position in society, high birth, and wealth. So those are the main kinds of attachments that keep us sort of away from that higher self. It keeps us in Maya. It keeps us in that matrix place. So that we think that those are the reality of life, that our emotions and our mind are what is real in our ego. So we're always holding on to the identities that we carry. That's why you may have heard before how sannyasis, Swamiji says it's a transcendental gender. So transcending both male and female. So instead of thinking of yourself as a male or female, just getting into that space of, yes, you're in a male or female body, but your actual consciousness does not have a gender. So in that same way, these attachments keep us holding on to our identities so that we're not connecting, we're not going in and connecting with the conscious space itself. So, I mean, the many of the great, masters speak of this, and oftentimes it is illustrated again and again how, without the grace of the Guru, they would have been unable to achieve that space of Jivan Mukti, that liberated soul, that space of enlightenment, is not achievable without the Guru. So there's many different verses it explains in great detail about the Guru and why we need a Guru. See, the Guru purifies, like for instance, verse 126. The first verse, I apologize, I did not repeat the verse number. But the first one I read was 129. Now this other one I wanted to tell you about is 126. And the translation is, one should purify his mind by the method prescribed by the Guru. With the knowledge of the self, which is called Atman, one should reject everything else as unreal and uneternal. So only the self, the Atman, is eternal. That space can never be touched actually by anything. And certainly not by death. And certainly not by anything anybody says about you. And certainly not by any means. That space is untouched, undying, eternal. The space of the Atman. So with that knowledge of the self, that's what the Guru gives us. See, by purifying the mind, quieting the mind of all the thoughts and the endless chatter that goes on. That is how we get into that space. Now, Swamiji gives us many, many techniques to go in and to do that self-reflection on the truths that he gives us. He gives us 4 very important and major truths that we go by and that are part of our vows of sannyasi. That's integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and enriching. And that, along with micromanaging what we do in our day. See, that's why he gives us so many tasks, because otherwise we get stuck in our minds and we're brooding. And we go on. And then that leads to more and more inner chatter. But what he's trying to do is break our logical mind, the mind that keeps telling us it's impossible. So there's always kind of a struggle between us and, unfortunately, between him, because he's ourself. And he's trying to break us out of that. So actually, I'm thinking about it like that now. Whenever we do resist what he's saying or resisting what is going on, we're resisting life and we're resisting that flow in which we can have the chance to connect with our inner space and with Swamiji. So it's very important. All of the techniques and things that he's giving us are very much necessary to reach that space. You cannot do it on your own. You cannot do it if you're married, because there's always a distraction. Okay, when you have a guru, yes, by his grace, he will liberate you or move you on to the next session of your life, because this body and this birth is not the only life. This is just one part of a continuous book, a continuous happening of your life. But I'm telling you, there's so many distractions in married life, and you're not 100% focused on the guru, which is 100% focused on your inner space, yourself, and connecting with that divine and actually reaching that space of enlightenment. Because there's too many things going on. There's too many other priorities that happen. Even myself, not being married, when I was, outside working, so many things would happen and come up. I would do my best to attend even the satsang every day. That I was pretty good, but if something came up with family, a function, there's some times where I just had to go, and I had to miss that important part of my spiritual practice. So you see, I don't see how it's possible. And many of the other masters will tell you, and they've written about it in their own biographies, it is not possible without the grace of the Guru. And you have to just decide and jump in. You can't just be dry. If you want to go swimming, you have to jump in. So you have to jump in and take sannyas. That's all. If you want to get enlightened and you want the spiritual path, and you want to live and breathe that because you know it's what you need to do, you need to attain that space. That is what life is for. Get out of the mire, get out of the matrix. You don't need all of those things. Come to the ashram, live around Swamiji and see what it's about. At least attend Inner Awakening, and you'll understand just from that if you're meant to do that or not. So go to innerawakening.org, sign up for Inner Awakening, and come to the ashram. Come to any program. There's many weekend programs, many even webinars. You can come there. Come and meet Swamiji and see what it's about. And you'll see how it is. And look up the Guru Gita. Make sure it's done by an Indian Guru translation. That'll be out on our end soon. We are working on that in the publications department. But just look at it. Read the beautiful verses, how rich and beautiful Sadashivatva relays the Guru and how his importance to the Guru is. Even Swamiji bows to his own Gurus and reveres them for what they've given him in his life. So, please, consider sannyas. Don't get married. Don't make that step and go again and again and again down that cycle. Let life be for living as it's meant to be. Anyway, thanks again for watching. And you do some reflections, and if you have questions and concerns about your own life, please feel free to post them. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you and guide you and give us the best from our experience that we can, or lead you to something that Swamiji said about it. It's all there. He's given us all the wisdom we need. Even now, there's almost 10,000 hours of his talks online. So even if he never had any more recorded satsangs, still there's so much there that you can have lifetimes of information and knowledge and spiritual truths. I'll include the link in the attachment here in the place where you share. And you go ahead and take a look and start watching some of Swamiji's videos. Thanks again. Nithyanandam.